For years, the diet industry sold everyone the same simple story. Eat less, move more, and the weight disappears naturally. That equation treats your body like a basic calculator. It blames people for lacking discipline or willpower entirely. But your body behaves more like a chemistry lab. Inside that lab, one hormone decides everything about fat. That hormone is insulin, not raw calorie counting. You can eat very little and still stay stuck. If insulin stays high, fat loss becomes nearly impossible. Meanwhile, someone eating more can still lose weight steadily. Everything depends on how well they manage this hormone. So, real weight loss starts with understanding your own biology. Most people only see insulin as a blood sugar regulator. In truth, insulin controls whether energy gets burned or stored. Imagine your body running on two separate fuel sources. The first is glycogen, stored quickly in muscles and liver. Think of it like cash sitting in your wallet. The second source is body fat, your long-term savings account. Insulin behaves like a strict manager overseeing both accounts. When insulin rises, your body shifts into storage mode instantly. It grabs incoming energy and locks it inside fat cells. Here's the part most people never fully grasp. High insulin doesn't just store fat efficiently, it also seals the exits of your fat cells. That means stored fat becomes locked away and inaccessible. You might carry thousands of stored calories around your waist, yet your cells still feel starved and constantly hungry. This explains tiredness, hunger, and excess weight happening together. It isn't about laziness or weak self-control at all. It's simply a hormonal trap most people never escape. Constant snacking and carb-heavy eating keep insulin elevated continuously. Each spike presses the fat storage switch again and again. So how do you lower insulin without extreme suffering? The answer involves a clever trick called food sequencing. This method controls how your stomach digests and absorbs meals. Your stomach doesn't sort foods by category automatically. Everything you eat gets mixed together like one big mixture. Starting a meal with bread or pasta speeds digestion dramatically. Sugars rush quickly into your small intestine afterward. Blood sugar spikes sharply, triggering an urgent insulin response. Your pancreas floods your system to manage the surge. That sudden flood pushes your body straight into storage mode. Later, sugar crashes leave you tired and shaky again. You crave more sugar, repeating this exhausting cycle endlessly. Luckily, you can flatten this cycle without changing your food. Simply changing meal order alters your hormonal response significantly. Start every meal with vegetables rich in natural fiber. Spinach, broccoli, salad, or asparagus work especially well here. Fiber doesn't spike insulin the way refined carbs do. Instead, it creates a protective barrier inside your intestines. This barrier slows down how quickly sugar gets absorbed. Next, move toward protein and healthy natural fats. Eggs, chicken, steak, fish, or avocado fit this stage perfectly. These foods trigger GLP-1, a natural satiety hormone. That same hormone inspired modern weight loss medications and injections. It slows digestion and signals fullness to your brain. Only afterward should you introduce starchy carbohydrates like rice. Potatoes, pasta, and bread belong in this final stage. By then, your digestive system has already slowed considerably. Carbs trickle into your bloodstream gradually instead of rushing in. Research suggests this ordering can cut blood sugar spikes significantly. Some studies report reductions of roughly 70% or more. Insulin spikes can also drop by nearly half overall. Remarkably, this happens with identical meals and identical calories. You're not restricting food, just rearranging how you eat it.
There's another powerful tool worth adding to this approach. That tool is simple acetic acid, found mainly in vinegar. Apple cider vinegar has been used for digestion for centuries. Modern science now explains exactly why it helps. Acetic acid slows an enzyme called alpha amylase significantly. That enzyme normally breaks starch down into simple sugar. Drinking diluted vinegar before meals weakens this conversion process. Essentially, you delay how quickly carbs become blood sugar. But vinegar's benefits extend even further than digestion alone. It also improves how sensitive your cells are to insulin. Picture insulin resistance like your body gradually losing hearing. Insulin keeps signaling, but cells stop responding properly anymore. The pancreas compensates by releasing even more insulin. Vinegar acts like a hearing aid for stubborn muscle cells. It helps those cells respond better to normal insulin levels. As a result, insulin doesn't need to spike as dramatically. Now let's address something almost everyone misunderstands completely. That misunderstanding involves exercise timing relative to meals. Most people exercise first thing in the morning, fasted. Others do cardio hours after their last meal entirely. But for insulin control, timing matters more than intensity. The most effective window is shortly after eating, not before. When carbs flood your bloodstream, glucose needs somewhere to go. Sitting still afterward forces insulin to handle everything alone. A short walk changes that equation almost immediately. Walking activates muscles that pull glucose directly from blood. This happens through a pathway called GLUT4 transport. That pathway requires far less insulin to function properly. You're not punishing yourself through intense, exhausting workouts. You're simply using basic biology in your favor. No marathons are necessary for this strategy to work. You just need brief movement at the right moment. Next, let's explore basal insulin versus bolus insulin differences. Most diet advice focuses only on post-meal insulin spikes. Those spikes are technically known as bolus insulin responses. But chronic weight gain often involves basal insulin instead. Basal insulin is your background level, active even while sleeping. When basal insulin stays high, fat storage never truly pauses. People wake up feeling hungry despite having plenty stored fat. Their bodies simply can't access that fat for energy. Insulin keeps blocking the exits, even during rest periods. Fixing this requires extended periods of genuinely low insulin. Intermittent fasting fits naturally into this overall strategy. But it's not just about skipping breakfast randomly. It's really about giving your digestive system real rest. Every snack, bite, or small meal raises insulin slightly. People eating 5 or 6 meals keep insulin constantly elevated. The storage system never gets a chance to pause. Fat remains locked away, inaccessible throughout the entire day. Combining time-restricted eating with smart meal sequencing changes everything. For example, eating within an 8-hour daily window helps. Fewer insulin spikes occur, and each spike becomes smaller. This isn't starvation, it's a deliberate, strategic approach. It's chemistry finally working with you, not against you. Let's translate all this theory into a practical example. Picture sitting down for dinner after a long day. Instead of reaching for bread first, you pause briefly. You drink water mixed with a tablespoon of vinegar. After waiting a few minutes, you begin eating vegetables. Roasted greens or salad coated lightly in healthy fat work well. Next comes your protein source, whatever you've chosen tonight. Steak, chicken, salmon, or eggs all serve this purpose. Only after that foundation do you eat starchy carbohydrates. Rice, potatoes, pasta, or even dessert come last here.
Finally, instead of sitting down immediately afterward, you walk. A short 10 or 15-minute walk makes a difference. That walk pulls sugar directly from your bloodstream efficiently. Your muscles use that sugar as immediate fuel source. Meanwhile, someone eating identically but in reverse order suffers differently. They sit afterward, letting insulin spike and trap energy. Same meal, same calories, completely different hormonal outcome occurs. This approach targets the real underlying issue directly. That issue is insulin resistance building up over time. Think of insulin resistance like a callus forming gradually. Constant friction causes skin to thicken and toughen up. Constant insulin exposure causes cells to resist signals similarly. Removing that friction is the only real solution available. Flattening glucose spikes with fiber and protein reduces friction. Vinegar further reduces how high insulin needs to climb. Walking clears excess glucose before it overwhelms your system. Together, these strategies remove the friction causing resistance. Slowly, your cells regain sensitivity to insulin signals again. That callus gradually softens and eventually disappears completely. Once sensitivity returns, your body naturally moves toward balance. Healthy weight becomes a natural byproduct of better chemistry. You stop battling biology using guilt or sheer willpower. Instead, you cooperate with your body using actual science. Weight loss was never purely about moral discipline anyway. It always came down to hormones, chemistry, and information. Food isn't simply fuel for burning calories endlessly. Food is instruction, sending signals to your hormonal system. Every single bite communicates a command to your body. You hold the control panel guiding that communication daily. So next time you sit down for a meal, remember this: you're essentially acting as the chemist of your own body. Start by building a fiber firewall with vegetables first. Then anchor your meal using protein and healthy fats. Add the acetic acid advantage using diluted vinegar beforehand. Walk for a few minutes shortly after you finish eating. Stop focusing purely on eating less food overall. Instead, focus on learning how to eat smarter. Small, consistent changes in order and timing add up. Over time, your hormonal environment shifts toward fat burning naturally. This isn't a quick fix or trendy diet gimmick. It's a sustainable framework built on real biological principles. Understanding insulin gives you genuine control over your results. That understanding matters far more than rigid calorie counting alone. Your body isn't broken, lazy, or working against you. It's simply responding predictably to the signals you send it. Change those signals, and your results change accordingly too. That's the real secret hiding behind sustainable weight loss. Let's revisit why calorie counting alone so often fails people. Two meals can share identical calories, yet trigger different responses. A sugary breakfast spikes insulin far faster than balanced meals. That spike encourages storage, even if total calories stay low. This explains why some dieters struggle despite strict calorie tracking. Their effort focuses on quantity while ignoring hormonal timing entirely. Quality and sequence matter just as much as total intake. Understanding this shifts how you should plan future meals. It also explains plateaus many dieters experience after initial progress. Early weight loss often comes from water and glycogen loss. Once insulin resistance sets in, fat loss slows considerably. Breaking through plateaus requires addressing hormonal patterns, not just calories. This is where sequencing, vinegar, walking, and fasting work together. Each strategy targets a slightly different part of the problem. Fiber slows absorption, protein triggers fullness, and vinegar blunts sugar.
Walking clears glucose, while fasting gives insulin extended rest periods. Combined, these create a powerful multi-layered approach to fat loss. No single trick works as well alone as this combination. Consistency matters more than perfection when applying these principles. You don't need flawless execution at every single meal. Improving meal order most of the time creates real change. Small, repeatable habits outperform occasional extreme dietary restrictions. Sustainable results come from systems, not short bursts of willpower. This also explains why crash diets often fail long-term. Severe restriction often raises stress hormones alongside reducing calories. Stress hormones like cortisol can further worsen insulin resistance. That combination makes crash dieting counterproductive for many people. A steadier, biology-aware approach avoids this stress hormone trap. Sleep also plays a surprisingly large role in insulin sensitivity. Poor sleep raises cortisol and worsens how cells respond. Prioritizing consistent, quality sleep supports everything discussed here. Stress management matters for similar hormonal reasons as well. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, indirectly affecting insulin behavior.
Simple practices like breathing exercises or short walks help. These habits support the same hormonal balance this strategy targets. Hydration matters too, since dehydration can affect blood sugar regulation. Drinking enough water supports digestion and overall metabolic function. None of these factors work in complete isolation from others. Insulin, sleep, stress, and movement all interact constantly together. Improving one area often supports improvements across the others. This is why isolated calorie cutting rarely solves the whole problem. A broader lifestyle approach addresses the real root causes. Now consider how this knowledge applies to social eating situations. Restaurants and gatherings don't always allow perfect meal sequencing. Even partial application still provides meaningful hormonal benefits, though. Starting with a salad before the main course still helps. Choosing protein before refilling on bread still makes a difference. A short walk after a big dinner still helps clear glucose. Perfection isn't the goal. Consistent directional improvement is enough. Over weeks and months, these small choices compound significantly. Your insulin sensitivity gradually improves with repeated, consistent practice. That improvement eventually shows up as easier, more natural weight loss. It feels less like fighting your body and more like cooperating. This shift in mindset matters as much as the techniques themselves. Viewing food as information rather than enemy changes everything. It removes guilt and shame from the entire eating process. Instead, every meal becomes an opportunity to send better signals. That mindset shift alone can sustain long-term behavioral changes effectively. People who understand the biology tend to stick with habits longer. Knowledge transforms discipline from a struggle into informed choice. You're no longer relying purely on motivation or temporary inspiration. You're following a logical system grounded in how your body works. That foundation makes consistency far easier to maintain over time. Ultimately, sustainable weight loss comes from working with your chemistry. It's not about extreme willpower or punishing restriction anymore. It's about smarter sequencing, smarter timing, and smarter movement choices. Apply these principles consistently, and your body responds accordingly. Insulin stops working against you and starts working for you. That's the real shift separating temporary diets from lasting change.